New Hondas are not reliable.
Reliable vehicles that were simple to fix, but now they're all junk.
Mechanics are seeing something buyers don't. New cars failing early, costing more to repair, and becoming harder to fix. Before we begin, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. GM's EcoTec cooling systems are getting criticized for leaking plastic lines, while newer Hondas are also facing reliability complaints.
New Hondas are not reliable. Last time I said this, everyone was going after me in the comment section talking about how I'm wrong. It's so funny, I say that, right? And the new Hondas, literally, they're not reliable. The new CVTs, I know 3 people that have had them blown up. And then everyone else is arguing in the comments, oh no, mine's had almost 100,000 miles and hasn't blown up yet. It's perfectly good. It's the same people that say, oh no, Jeeps are still fine, they're still fine. No, they were fine when they had the 4-liter in them. Before they were owned by Stellantis. They were fine back then. They aren't now. Same thing with this Chevy right here. This GMT 800 platform. This stuff is bulletproof. This stuff goes forever. These 5.3 liters are amazing. The new Silverados and the 5.3, they're junk. They do not last. They have lifter failure issues. Every car now is not as good as it used to be. The old stuff is good. The new stuff is bad. Perfect example. Good, bad, probably worse actually. I just saw the failure on this engine again. It's just like, come on. How long have you making the V8 for? And you're just like, oh, we got to ruin it.
All of these little GM cars with the EcoTec engines, they have an abortion of cooling system. They always leak. It doesn't matter how many parts you replace, the new parts leak 10, 20, 30,000 miles down the road, unless it's an OEM replacement, and then it might last 40, 50, 60. And then every single time you're trying to pop off one of these hard plastic cooling lines that have a stupid ass pop-in fitting, just snaps off. Well, now we're getting to the point where some of these lines are back ordered. So what are you going to do? Exhibit A. This pops into the water outlet, and it just pops in to that metal. So we're just going to sit here and act like hard plastic lines aren't going to get brittle and deteriorate when coolant's running through them nonstop? Come on, dude. This is such piss poor quality, it's ridiculous. But anyways, had to replace this, and this probably isn't even 6 months old. Moto Rad. These plugs down here, they leak every single time on this replacement part, so we switched over to a different brand, Murray. Anyways, as you can see, I've already had this plug out once, replaced the O-ring on it, and covered it with RTV and popped it back in there. This time when I took it off, well, what's that? Oh, a big old chunk of metal missing? Wonder where that is. Oh, and don't come at me with you installed it improperly, blah, blah, blah. 89 inch-pounds. It's easy. But, yeah, so that's a month out, that line. So what I had to do was take a piece of brake line, trim the hard plastic line, shove the brake line inside of it, and then take hose and slip it over and clamp it in place. Cars are not quality anymore. It's quantity over quality, and it's fucking piss poor.
Mercedes and BMW technicians complain about over-engineered designs.
I always wonder why people bring Mercedes-Benz to mom-and-pop shops. Yes, we welcome all make and models with open arms, but they're so much harder to work on than any other vehicle. They're just overly engineered cars. I just did an oil change and an air filter on one, and the air filter was just a pain in the ass to take apart. It just wasn't easy. And there's no oil dipstick. It's like they just overly engineer everything. I got the job done. I'm good now, but like, God, man, like, what the hell? I guess people don't want to pay a Mercedes shop to charge them more money, but damn, we had to. And then why people drive them, like why people buy them, I don't understand. I would never personally own a Mercedes. If somebody even gave me one, I would probably sell it. I don't know, I just wonder, you Mercedes techs out there, do you actually like working on Mercedes or BMW? Like, you know, BMW, they're the same way, like very overly engineered, just pain in the ass. Do you actually like that? Do you actually get like a kick out of harder vehicles to work on? Let me know.
What car brand would you never own and why?
I just got done working on this one for like 4 days, swapping the engine out of it. So maybe you want to take a look at that emblem. Just so difficult to work on. Definitely require more maintenance. They have GDI, which is gas direct injected. The intake manifold needs to be cleaned on a regular basis, which usually vehicle owners never want to do.
One car brand that you would never own and why?
Nissan, just don't like their CVT transmissions.
What car brand would you never own and why?
Never own a Mini Cooper because they're a pain in the ass to work on and service centers are rare.
What is one brand of car that you would never own and why?
Probably a Mitsubishi because they break down a lot and there's not very many dealerships anywhere.
What is one car brand you would never own and why?
Audi. The maintenance on them is so expensive. There's so many special tools that you need to even work on the vehicle. It's just too much of a hassle. That's why I prefer my domestic or my import.
What car brand you never own and why?
First one that comes to mind is Lincoln. They're great cars. I mean, they look good, but when it comes to maintenance and simplicity, forget about it. Hour labor just for a cabin air filter replacement, I don't think it's worth it.
Ford has another problem. Not enough technicians to repair its vehicles, creating longer waits for frustrated owners.
This is why Ford can't get anybody to work on their cars. Now, last week, the Ford CEO came out and said he had no technicians to fix all of his broken cars, and that's why it takes a minimum of 2 weeks to get your car looked at a Ford dealership. Now, I already knew this was true because every time I call my local Ford dealer, they tell me they don't even have a transmission tech. And they gotta send every transmission job an hour out of town to the next nearest dealership that has a tech that can do that work. Now, the Ford CEO states that there's over 6,000 bays in Ford dealerships without technicians, and they can't find anybody to fill those roles. And his attitude toward the whole situation is that people should be wanting to fill these roles and wanting to do these jobs, and he just couldn't understand why he can't fill them. Well, hold my beer, Jim, and let me tell you why. Now, your Ford vehicles used to be really nice, reliable vehicles that were simple to fix, but now they're all junk, made with Chinese parts, Chinese computers, and stuff that's not even reliable enough to make it over 100,000 miles. We all know the Ford Focus was a complete disaster and you had to warranty at least half of them that you built. And these Escapes with the 6-speed transmission, they're failing more than ever. Let's face it, Jim, your vehicles are crap. And instead of designing them properly, you just put all the fixes on the back of your mechanics who you don't pay enough. Not only are the vehicles crap, but you gotta buy fancy scanners, special sockets, and special kits that are expensive just to be able to work on them. Now, these are the reasons the mechanic shortage is pretty much everywhere in all dealerships, but Ford is one of the worst about gouging their customers and not paying their techs enough. Now, this is a big problem for Ford because Ford doesn't make much money on just selling their cars. They make most of their money on servicing the fleet of their cars that they sell. And without mechanics to service that fleet, they could just go belly up. Now, I see this ending one of 3 ways. Either Ford will take their cars and start making them better, more reliable, and easier to fix. We know that's probably not gonna happen, so their second option is they could pay the mechanics what they truly deserve, a nice fair wage, to fix their junk cars. And the third option is probably what Jim doesn't want to hear, because if they don't do anything, they could end up bankrupt. But after the way they've treated their employees, their mechanics, and more importantly, their consumers, that just may be what they deserve. So do the right thing, Jim, and pay up, and stay dirty, and subscribe.
I think this is one of the biggest things and no one's talking about it. If you see on this right here, this is the oil fill cap on the 2002 Chevy Vortec 5.3 liter. And if you see right there, it says 5W30. And I think one of the biggest problems is that every new manufacturer now, to get to the regulation and to meet the fuel requirement that are so strict right now, going to thinner and thinner oil. Even this little 4-cylinder back from the early 2000s, even this one required 5W30. Well, let's say on this Jeep right here, this Pennstar 3.6 liter now requires 0W20. But the funny part is when this engine came out, it originally came out with 5W30 as the oil requirement. Again, as the emissions, the fuel requirements got tighter, they went to a thinner oil because it's more fuel efficient. But I think what we're sacrificing for fuel efficiency, we're sacrificing for reliability. I don't know about you, but I rather have reliability over fuel economy. If you take away a mile per gallon and tell me the engine will go another 100,000 miles longer, I'll take that every day. But I feel like that's the problem. We're chasing the fuel economy and we're costing ourselves reliable transportation.
So are manufacturers building better cars or just more complicated ones? Tell us what you think and subscribe to Clunker Truth.